Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If becoming a mangaka in One Piece world. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Quick update. The series What If Fusion deck user in a different Yu-Gi-Oh! GX will be going on hold soon, since we're nearly at the end of the story. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these three fanfics. What if creating the strongest Strawhat crew by reading manga? What if Reincarnated in Bleach as Toshiro Hitsugaya? What if Reincarnated in Marvel as a gamer? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 741, Whitebird's Final Order. Chapter's events. Fire Fist and Straw Hat kill them both. Meanwhile, both Ace and Luffy were together facing the combined attacks of the Marines against them. "You've gotten stronger, Luffy," said Ace. "I'll be better than you someday, Ace," Luffy said confidently. Ice block. Both Ace and Luffy heard a heavy voice, and then cold ice appeared near them. Admiral Akiji. The Marines felt happy. Wah! It's him! Luffy felt a headache just thinking about dealing with this man. "Well, I'm still covering for you at the moment. Get back, Luffy." Ace took the initiative to face Akiji. Pheasant beak. A stream of ice extended from Akiji's hand towards the two, ready to freeze them to death. Kukin. But before that could happen, Ace summoned an equal amount of flames that blocked the ice path and cancelled its cold power. It looked like an epic battle of ice and fire. At Marineford, the Marines reading the manga were already on the edge of their seats, enjoying the events of the war so much that they had forgotten whose side they were on and who they should be cheering for. What a battle! Ace vs. Akiji. Go, Ace. Kick his butt. Ice can't beat fire, right? Ha ha. Neither, I think they're just holding each other back. Man, Ace was tortured the whole time in prison. It's impossible he has any stamina left to face an admiral? That's what I think too. They should consider escaping instead of fighting battles that will end in defeat. Luffy especially can't fight anymore. The tension hormones will wear off soon and he won't be able to get up after that. Oh my god, I totally forgot about that until you mentioned it. That's really dangerous. Oh damn. It looks like Admiral Akainu is determined to stop them from escaping. Damn you, Admiral Dog. Shut up. Are you crazy? What are you saying as a Marine soldier? The soldier who got excited earlier felt his blood run cold after realizing his excessive enthusiasm. He quickly clammed up, looking around nervously to see if anyone else had noticed his outburst. The other Marines, however, were just as engrossed in the manga, their eyes wide with anticipation as they continued to read the intense scenes unfolding in the story. In the High Marine Headquarters building where the Fleet Admiral's office was, Sakazuki was looking out the window at the expanse of the sea on the horizon, then his eyes fell back to the Marineford Bay. The Marineford Plaza below perfectly matched the devastated battlefield in the manga, but they were in completely different states. The Real Plaza was filled with the bustling activity of Marines going about their duties, unaware of the fictional carnage taking place in the pages of the manga. One war with one Yonko was enough to obliterate the Marine stronghold and turn it into ruins, Sakazuki mused, his face a mask of determination and disdain. All pirates must really be destroyed. And the hunters too, he continued, his voice a low growl. His mind raced with thoughts of vengeance and the need to cleanse the world of what he perceived as its greatest threats. The source of evil in this world must be eradicated and erased, he declared, his fists clenching at his sides. He returned his focus to the events of the Summit War in the open volume in his hands, his eyes narrowing as he took in the scene. In the manga scene, Whitebeard stopped his ship with his bare hand. On the ship was the traitor who was easily manipulated by his counterpart and made to turn against his father with a few meaningless words. What was his name? Squardo, right. TSK, you want to sacrifice yourself? What a bold decision, as if a bug like you is enough to give them even a second of time to retreat safely. Sakazuki sneered at the stupidity of this man named Squardo. His contempt for those who betrayed their allies was palpable, and he shook his head in disgust. Whitebeard is ready to stay behind, as expected. Sengoku's eyes gleamed when he saw this scene. The fleet admiral, now an observer, watched with a mix of admiration and sadness. He knew the weight of leadership and the sacrifices that came with it all too well. He felt it wouldn't really be bad to at least get Whitebeard's head. It would be difficult to get Ace's head too in this situation anyway, unless something extraordinary happened. Sengoku's mind wandered to the possible outcomes of the battle, each scenario playing out in his thoughts with a grim inevitability. Yu-woo! Why did the ship stop? The ship that was speeding towards the Marines, on which Squardo and his crew had decided to stay behind, stopped. Boss! Squardo was shocked to know the reason the ship stopped. Ha! The pain of a parent burying his child. Don't you realize how hard that is, Squardo? Whitebeard continued saying, don't get so full of yourself. That one slash wasn't nearly enough to take my life. Nobody lives forever. Ha! The expressions of Whitebeard's sons changed after hearing that. Whitebeard didn't care and continued, we've accomplished what we came to do. Boss. Boss. There's no reason for us to stay here. Cough. This is my final order. Whitebeard took a deep breath and said, listen well. Whitebeard pirates. Last. Wait, boss. You don't mean. We don't want to hear that. We're going back to the new world together, right? Boss, exclaimed Ace. You will all part with me here. You will all live, and safely return to the new world. After saying this, veins bulged on his arm which formed into a fist. Be boss. You plan on dying here. The times have passed me by. There's no ship to take me to this new age. Go! Men! With one punch of his fist, Marineford shook once again and the sky cracked. Another punch and the world would be destroyed. No, boss. Some of Whitebeard's sons succumbed to their tears at this moment. It's the captain's order. We have to go. Old man. Luffy was shocked. Boss. As did Ace. Don't look back. The times are changing. These were Whitebeard's thoughts. Whitebeard, Sengoku gritted his teeth after seeing this. Whitebeard's memories returned to a distant time, when he was an rising pirate. Who ever heard of a pirate who doesn't want treasure? What exactly do you want? Hey, Newgate. It's been a long journey. Let's finish it. Marines. Whitebeard confirmed his determination to die here. At the art store on Sphinx Island, Squardo couldn't hold back his tears any longer. He cried, and cried a lot this time. The raw emotion of seeing his beloved boss's final moments rendered him speechless, his heart heavy with sorrow and regret. His tears fell on the last scene of the manga page where Whitebeard renewed his determination to stay behind and prevent anyone else from dying foolishly. After Whitebeard finished reading this scene in the manga, he looked at his sons who gathered around him and gave him the most precious thing he had so far. Most of them were crying like Squardo. Their loyalty and love for their captain were evident in their tear-streaked faces, a testament to the bond they shared. He wondered internally why his sons were crying. Was it because they didn't want to live without him? Maybe. The thought tugged at his heart, making him reflect on the sacrifices he had made for them and the legacy he would leave behind. At least this reality was not real, just for now, but perhaps seeing them in the manga made them feel as if they were actually living it. The lines between fiction and reality blurred in their minds, the emotions they felt were raw and powerful. He looked to the side and found Stussy, this charming woman who had always demanded him for herself. She was also crying sadly, no doubt her emotions were evident. Her usually composed demeanor was shattered, replaced by genuine sorrow and empathy. Gorarara. What a great life you lived, Whitebeard. He would really be lying if he said that his counterpart's life and words did not affect him. The courage and conviction displayed by his manga self resonated deeply within him, stirring memories and feelings long buried. The biggest impact was from this small scene in his memories. What pirate doesn't love treasure? He remembered it as if it was yesterday. At that time he was contemplating the sea and wishing for a family. The longing for connection and belonging had driven him, shaping his journey and the family he had built. After getting what one desires, why would life matter after that? Dying with honor and meaning would be a very unique final wish. Well, I didn't imagine my last request would be any further than this anyway. He chuckled softly. It looks like they are going to win this war, right, my sons? Chapter 742, A Loser from a Bygone Age? The feeling of being surpassed by generations is truly unpleasant. Ending your life after accepting that is fair enough. Crocus set the sake cup aside after wiping his mouth, his eyes gleaming with a sad expression as he looked at the half-dead Whitebeard in the manga. Rayleigh looked at him and nodded, saying, "That's right, a legend like Whitebeard has already been surpassed by the era, but his existence itself is a whole era." That's right, I wonder why a legend like me hasn't appeared at all so far. Although I'm from the previous generation in the manga, it's unfair that you, Rayleigh, and you, Crocus, have appeared, but not me. Gabon drank a large cup of sake, expressing his frustration. He was also saddened by Whitebeard, who seemed to be on the brink of concluding an entire era. After all, the title of the chapter they were all reading at that moment was, "This era will be known by Whitebeard's name." Well, it's not just you, Gabon, all those guys behind you haven't appeared or been mentioned yet. Not yet, that's what I mean. Rayleigh smiled in response to Gabon's frustration, pointing to all the members of Roger's crew gathered in the art store in Batarilla, well, except for the trainees Buggy and Shanks, who, fortunately, had already appeared at the beginning of the story. Hearing this, Shaki smiled silently as she hugged Rayleigh's waist. She was enjoying these moments with this wonderful man who was also considered an old man from the old generation in the manga. No, in fact, he was also a legend from Whitebeard's generation. Wahahaha! The broadcast is back. The legendary Buggy is happy to serve you, dear viewers. At this moment, Buggy burst out laughing when he saw the broadcast being restored using the Denden Mushi that Akiji had frozen earlier. Once again, Buggy was the first to appear on the screen of the Sabaody archipelago, causing the viewers there to erupt in anger. Put! Ha ha ha! This is fun! Shanks couldn't maintain his calm expression either, bursting into laughter when he saw this scene in the readers' comments from around the world on the global forum. Marineford is drowning under Whitebeard's hands, and the pirates are being exterminated under Akainu's magma, and there you are still fooling around with the viewers in the archipelago. Legendary Buggy? Seriously? Who wants to see your face at a time like this? Oh, what is Ace doing? Why isn't he escaping? Why did he stop for Akainu's provocations? This doesn't bode well. Strange. The Roger pirates felt tense at this moment. The plot shouldn't unfold this way, should it? Chapter's events. Let's go. The old man is prepared. Luffy called out to Ace, who was standing and looking at the proud old man. I know. I won't let it be in vain. Ace said to Luffy. Get the hell out of my way. You wah. The cries of the pirates caught Whitebeard's attention, who was annoyed to see the familiar magma. He turned to the other side and saw Ace kneeling. I don't need your words, but let me ask you one thing, Whitebeard said to Ace. He continued, was I a good father? Of course. Ace exclaimed without hesitation. Gurararara, Whitebeard laughed after receiving the answer. Run. Get to the ship. Ace. Luffy, get in front. Jinbei appeared to lead them away. Jinbei. Luffy shouted. They're gunning for you. The boss wants as many people to survive as possible. Jinbei clearly stated Whitebeard's intentions. We stole a battleship. Quick, get on. Some of Whitebeard's pirates managed to seize a marine battleship and the rest were running towards it. Hurry, Luffy! Hancock was worried about Luffy's safety. Admiral Sakazuki. Do they really think they can escape? How adorable, Sakazuki mocked as he watched the pirates flee in all directions. In the Sabaody archipelago, viewers were surprised to see the execution platform disappear. The execution platform is being destroyed. What happened to Ace? Show us Whitebeard. Look out! It's a Kainu. Yuwa! A massive fist of magma descended on the fleeing pirates, burning most of them. They save Ace and then immediately run away? What a bunch of cowards you are, Whitebeard pirates! Akaino sneered, poker-faced. His words were highly provocative, showing no regard for the pirates' feelings as he continued, but he is the captain. I guess there's no helping it. After all, Whitebeard is a loser from a bygone age. Hearing this, Ace stopped running, his expression darkening. Ace. Luffy also stopped, surprised. A loser? Ha! Ha! Ace turned to face Akainu, responding to his blatant provocation. No, don't do it. Not far from the art store, in Rouge and Roger's house, Rouge felt extremely worried about this scene. He was a good father to you, right? Everything was going well, why did you stop then? He's just provoking. Of course, he'd call Whitebeard a loser, what do you expect from a dog? Veins popped on Roger's forehead after seeing this scene too. What a vile admiral. I fought against Sengoku, against Zephyr, against Kong Tu and against Garp, none of them provoked their opponents in such a rude way. Roger felt nostalgic as he recalled his previous battles with all these strong opponents, none of whom were as vile as Akainu. They all truly represented justice. None of them had the twisted justice of this dog admiral. Forget about him, Ace, keep running, please. Rouge turned the manga page to the next scene, hoping to see a different turn of events instead of the scene she saw in Rob's memories. She didn't want to see it at all, she didn't want to experience that sorrow truly. N/B, well, Rouge's situation since the beginning of this arc is quite clear, the events have already been spoiled for her. Whitebeard is a loser from a bygone age? Is that true, my sons? On Sphinx Island, Whitebeard looked at his sons, who all had ugly expressions on their faces, and asked calmly. Of course not. Whitebeard is the pinnacle of an entire era. That's nonsense. Oyaji is the strongest man in the world, as testified by their fleet admiral. That vile bastard is saying that to provoke enthusiastic people like Ace, he's a cunning villain. Whitebeard nodded after hearing his son's opinions, all of whom he agreed with. He wasn't really angered by how Akainu described him as a loser, but what angered him was how this villain used his name to incite resentment among his sons and influence Ace, who was one of the most enthusiastic about defending Whitebeard's reputation, especially in a war like this where Whitebeard himself was sacrificing his life to save him. That scoundrel! What the hell is he saying? And why did Ace stop? Marco was extremely angry at how Akainu described his father. But he was also drawn to Ace's anomaly. This was against the boss's orders after all, which worked to escape and retreat safely to the new world. Actually, I would have stopped too when I hear that dog say that about Oyaji. I would try my best to cut his tongue with my sword. Vista expressed his deep displeasure. Sigh, this doesn't work, we have completely lost. Whitebeard felt deep sorrow to the extent that he hesitated to turn the page to the next scene. Chapter 743. Whitebeard could have become king, but he didn't want to. At this moment, readers around the world felt a sense of foreboding. In the Drum Kingdom, heavy snowfall turned daylight into a cold darkness, with frigid winds that could freeze any living being within an hour. However, this overwhelming cold could not quench the fiery passion of the kingdom's residents at this moment, ignited by the short battle between Ace and Akainu. What is Ace trying to do? It's blatant provocation, man. Keep running, don't care. Hirulek felt sorrow after seeing Ace stop and turn to face Akainu, who had provoked him with a few words. The will of D. Despite the power of this mysterious will, when it becomes too much, it backfires. In this case, the pure will to justify the greatness of a pirate to a lowly marine admiral? That's a big mistake you're making, boy, sigh. Koreha sighed in regret as she watched the verbal skirmish between Ace and Akainu quickly escalate toward a losing battle for Ace. That damn admiral. King Maypole also felt bad about Akainu's actions. This is bad. Not only him, but his beautiful wife with snow-white hair and blue eyes, Carla, also had an annoyed expression on her face. Chapter's events. Take back. Ha! What you just said. Ace stopped and turned to face Akainu. Stop, Ace. Keep going. Ace. The Whitebeard pirates tried to urge Ace to ignore it and keep running. But to no avail, he broke free from the hands trying to pull him and said, "He's mocking my old man." Ace. Even Luffy started to worry. Your real father, Roger, stood in his way. And so Whitebeard is a loser who will never become king. How am I mistaken? You bunch of thugs keep yelling boss this, boss that. You prance about the seas pretending to be a family. Akainu did not retract his words but added some venomous ones to the mix, making Ace even more upset. Stop right there. But Akainu did not stop and continued his provocations. For how many decades has he ruled the seas, never becoming a king, and never accomplishing anything? In the end, he was stabbed by his idiot son who was fooled by some sweet talk. And he's going to die protecting that fool. Squardo, who heard that, felt his heart being stabbed by knives instead of words. He really did live an empty life, didn't he? Stop it. Ace yelled, unable to bear Akainu's words any longer. Don't listen to him, Ace. Come on. Aizu tried with Ace but to no avail. Ace's body caught fire, ready to engage in battle. The atmosphere began to heat up. The old man gave us a place where we belonged. What do you know about his greatness? On the other side, Akainu's right shoulder melted into a mass of intense magma. If people don't live the right way, there's no reason for them to live. Pirates like you don't deserve a place to belong. Whitebeard will die as a loser. A fitting death for the admiral of a mountain of garbage, exclaimed Akainu. Whitebeard is the pirate who created this era. On the other side, Ace defended Whitebeard without backing down. Don't mock the old man who saved me. Whole Cake Island. Do you think it was hard for Newgate to become king because he didn't do it? What would a wretched admiral like you know about Newgate's greatness? The man even rocks couldn't force to bow? Do you think it was hard for him to do what Roger did? Mama. Mama. You ignorant and arrogant admiral. But you're really lucky that Whitebeard has lost his brilliance and his youthful years. Otherwise, could you really withstand his wrath? I wonder. Pirates don't have the right to belong anywhere? By what standard do you say that? Come on. Let me see if you have the strength and courage to take my castle and the place I belong to away from me. At this moment, blood-red thunder exploded from the massive cake castle. Lean's Conqueror's hockey burst was devastating and terrifying, but it wasn't felt by those in the art store. Lin was extremely angry at every word Akainu said about Whitebeard, and even angrier when Akainu said pirates like her didn't deserve to belong anywhere. Did he know that when she wasn't a pirate or a demon, when she was just a child abandoned by her parents and lost her place of belonging? She wasn't the only one. Millions of children are abandoned, that's why most of them became pirates. Don't they have the right to choose a place to belong? She saw Ace's story and understood why he had to become a pirate after all. Only a pirate's life suits people like them who were born free. Calm down, Lin, you'll destroy what you've built. This wretched admiral isn't worth getting angry over, he's just spouting nonsense to prevent more of Whitebeard's pirates from escaping. At this moment, Streusen arrived and tried to calm her. Wano country. Inside the art store in the flower capital. Pa! My brother isn't like that. Odin smashed the table in front of him, which wasn't damaged at all, as it was an element of the art store. If he wanted to become king instead of Roger, he would have done it already. I already offered to gather the poneglyphs and read them for him, but he refused. His goal was always just to have a family. Just like Ace in the manga, Odin felt very angry and was also provoked by Akainu's words. He must really hate pirates. I bet my father is going to shove that Naginata up his ass after saying all that. Whitey Bay was angrier than she seemed. Little Momonosuke, in her lap, felt her wild aura and started crying, and she hurried to calm him down. Urara Island. Whitebeard is a loser, you say? Wararararo. Kaido couldn't hold back his laughter at the manga scene and the provocative words in every speech bubble of Akainu. He couldn't become king because Roger stood in his way, you say? Wararararo. The more he read, the more he laughed uncontrollably. This is amusing. I really have a great desire to see Newgate's reaction to this. His expression must be as ugly as if he had eaten shit. King, what do you think? Do you agree with this arrogant admiral's words? I see that Whitebeard in the manga was content to take care of his family because he had already achieved what he wanted. Everyone has specific dreams and ambitions, and once they achieve them, their ambition lies in maintaining them. King stated his position in a few lines. Whitebeard's history is rich in glory. He was a man worthy of ruling an era and having it named after him, but this admiral is burying all that in the dirt with his words. Do you know why, King? Kaido asked. King remained silent. Warararararo. When you reach your end, the enemy will treat you like a fart no matter how great your glory was. No matter how terrifying your name was in the past. No matter how fearsome your power was in the past. Now you are losing your life at my hands. Damn you and your proud past. You will die at my hands. Wararararo. That's how Akainu sees Whitebeard at this moment. Chapter 744, Moments Before the Shock. Jahahahaha. Jahahahaha. In the central prison on Hunter's Island, within his isolated cell deep in the prison's bowels, the golden lion Shiki was laughing hysterically. Jihahaha, this is how it always is. This is how things have been since ancient times. When you're at the peak of your power, they flatter you, fear you, and worship you. And when you fall, they bury you in the dirt. Moria, observing the nearly deranged Shiki, questioned. Shiki, do you think what Akainu is saying is true? Of course not. Newgate chose his path and had his reasons. No admiral can understand that, no marine rat or world government official can understand the mindset of a man who chose to be free, Shiki replied with a mocking smile. Then why is Akainu saying that? Doesn't he fear that it will drive Whitebeard's pirates mad and lead them to choose death with them? Moria asked, trying to rationalize after enduring multiple kicks to the face. Shiki, seemingly more willing to converse than succumb to boredom, responded thoughtfully, because they know how influential and powerful he is. They want to destroy his symbols and reputation to scatter his followers, the followers who did not participate in the war, the people under his protection, and most importantly, that scoundrel Akainu wants to kill one of those two kids, and it will likely be Ace. With a mocking smile, Brindy World, who was sitting next to the cell, stood up and left. In the couple's house in Batarilla, the atmosphere was thick with tension and anxiety as the crucial moment approached. Rob left because he didn't want to witness the couple's reaction when that scene unfolded. Roger, the Pirate King, and the man who surpassed Whitebeard according to Akainu's logic, gripped the manga volume tightly, his eyes gleaming with anger and sadness. Rouge, did you see what he said? Newgate never thought about becoming a king. By giving me his brother, a precious crew member at that time, he implicitly allowed me to go to Laugh-Tale. This truth is unknown to the world, unfortunately. This is a provocation to weaken the crew's spirit, Rouge tried to console him. But this is unacceptable, Rouge. Newgate is not a loser. He simply chose family, that's how he chose to be the greatest captain of his generation. My son knows this better, which is why he couldn't allow himself to run away and not defend against these words that have no relation to the truth. But he can't win. Tears fell from Rouge's eyes with each approaching scene. Seeing this, Roger's heart bled. Suddenly, his eyes fell on the last scene on the page, his expression stiffened, his eyes widened, and he felt as if the world had stopped. In the art store on Sphinx Island, the atmosphere was charged with anger and tension. Whitebeard, in his human size due to the art store's feature, was sitting on his chair among his sons, reading Admiral Akainu's words with a cold expression. Unlike his crew members and sons around him, who felt extreme resentment. Unlike their manga counterparts, who were more focused on escaping to carry out their boss's last orders, they were sitting here comfortably without any threat. So, all their focus was on the words of the dog admiral who was literally spewing nonsense. Our Whitebirds pirates this week. They failed to protect their boss, and now they have failed to protect his pride as well. Marco felt immense sadness with each scene he read, and with each malicious word Akainu uttered, his sympathy grew for the future version of Whitebird's pirates. Marco, my son, they are not weak, it's just that the Marines are very strong, they were fully prepared to bring us down. Whitebeard spoke rationally. Didn't his words against your counterpart anger you? Marco's question carried the curiosity of everyone present. Of course it angered me a lot. I am even planning to visit this admiral, I bet he won't refuse to talk to me about Whitebeard's glory. Hearing that, smiles widened on his sons' faces, some even licking their lips wickedly. They liked their father's idea very much and were overly excited about it, especially Squardo, who was the most emotionally affected by this arc. Veins appeared on Whitebird's forehead after seeing the next scene, and he felt he couldn't believe what had happened. In the moment of silence in the noisy art store, all the readers had wide eyes at this moment. Squardo's mouth opened wide, as did Marco's eyes. Most readers found it difficult to breathe because their mouths were fully open due to the absolute shock they were in at that moment. At this moment, Rob was leisurely walking through a cornfield, contemplating a certain scene from the manga. Sigh, time flies, we've already reached this moment. Sorry, but hearts must break to truly discover their essence. Eyes must shed tears to dry, and sadness must overwhelm to end. Not all endings are beautiful. This is the cruelty of the world, and its virtue too. After saying that, Rob closed the manga volume and disappeared from his place. Did he really do that? What did I see? Oh my god. Impossible, not possible. No. No. Don't tell me. What is going on? Sorry, I can't turn the pages. The readers in O'Hara felt lost at this moment. Most of them remained frozen in shock, unsure if what they thought had happened actually happened. The scene was shocking and harsh, completely unexpected. This ending wasn't anticipated, it wasn't awaited, it wasn't beloved, no, it wasn't desired at all. Moments ago, readers were loudly celebrating Luffy's success in freeing Ace and eagerly awaiting a grand feast held by the remaining Whitebeard pirates with Luffy for saving Ace. But what happened? Well, what happened was shocking, readers are still in shock. Except for Daffy, who was smiling sarcastically at this moment. The irony of fate, even I was deceived. Chapter 745, The Death of Port Gasti Ace. Part 1. In the small house on Batarilla Island, Port Gasti. Rouge sat there by the window, staring vacantly into the horizon where there was nothing but trees and the endless blue sea. She watched the sea quietly, but what she saw at that moment was a reflection of a certain scene that never left her mind, even though she had closed the volume and thrown it away because she couldn't continue looking at it. No matter what she did, she saw that scene in everything. Her tears started falling again, this time without stopping. Ace. She uttered Ace's name with indescribable sadness. Not far away, Roger was still holding the manga volume and reading the chapter quietly. Unlike Rouge, who naturally had a tender heart, he was more resilient to shocks, sadness, and death. After all, Roger was the Pirate King. He sacrificed himself for Luffy, he said in a shaky voice, trying to maintain his composure. Chapter's events. This era will be known by Whitebeard's name. Using his fire ability, Ace punched towards Akainu, who also used his power to attack. Stop, Ace. A loud explosion resounded as Ace's flames clashed with Akainu's magma. But immediately, Ace grabbed his burnt hand and started groaning in agony. You-wah! Ace! Ace! He was burned! The pirates exclaimed in shock upon seeing this scene. Did you get careless because you're a Logia type as well? You are merely fire. I am magma that consumes fire. Akainu mocked, then added in a superior tone, my power completely outclasses yours. Ace. Luffy felt extremely exhausted due to his depleted energy at that moment, collapsing to his knees. Hey, Luffy. You're at your limit. Jinbei warned as he approached Luffy anxiously. At that moment, Ace's Vivre card fell from Luffy's hand. Ha! Ha! Ah! Ace's Vivre card. The Pirate King, Gold Roger. The Revolutionary, Dragon. I'm amazed that their two sons turned out to be brothers. Akainu expressed his astonishment at that moment, then added, great sin already runs through your blood. No matter who else escapes. I will never let you two brothers go. Akainu set his sights on the collapsed Luffy and said to Ace, take a good look. Hey! Wait! Luffy! Ace felt terror and rushed unconsciously to protect his younger brother. Akainu chose to attack the defenseless Luffy at that moment. Akainu's magma hand pierced through Ace's abdomen after burning most of his internal organs and puncturing his back. Ace stood defending his brother Luffy until his last breath. Eh? Luffy stumbled back, unable to comprehend what was happening. Cough. Ace coughed up blood as he was dying. The color drained from the faces of Marco, Vista, and everyone who saw the scene among Whitebeard's pirates. Ace's Vivre card started burning again, this time much faster. In the art store, the air froze gradually as the readers absorbed what happened in this scene. No way. Ace. Buggy stopped clowning around when he saw the scene. The situation had turned so quickly that he couldn't even understand how it happened. He killed him. Rayleigh swallowed the last drop of sake with difficulty, his mood sour from the scene. He set the sake bottle aside and stared at the scene carefully. He really did it. Gabon's eyes widened in extreme shock, especially after he turned the pages to the next chapter and saw its contents. Akainu. What have you done? Even Shaki, who rarely showed her emotions, looked visibly disturbed. I never expected this to happen. Ace, he's dying. Impossible. Shanks also felt despair. Ace was one of his favorite characters in the manga, aside from being Captain Roger's son. His death was undoubtedly shocking and unacceptable to Shanks. Sigh. Fate cannot be predicted. Ace will die here. Crocus sighed with indescribable sadness, then added, like father, like son, both with great destinies and bad luck. The regular readers were in a state of unreal shock, and some were in deep sorrow due to their strong attachment to Ace's character. Some of them even had Ace as their favorite character in the story. These people were shedding tears openly, especially after moving to the next chapter. While others sat in complete silence, unable to believe what had happened. How could this happen? Why is Ace coughing up blood? Why is his Vivre card burning? A young girl murmured, holding her father's hand, who was trying to comfort her. He hadn't expected to break his daughter's heart on her birthday. If he had known what would happen, he would never have suggested bringing her to the art store today. Another young man, wearing a shirt with Ace engulfed in flames, looked at the scene in the manga with tearful eyes. He was my hero. Why does he have to meet such an end? He said in a choked voice. It wasn't just the death of a manga character, but the loss of a hero who had inspired many. For a moment, the servers of the global forum crashed. The world fell silent, a devastating loss, indescribable pain, and sorrow engulfed everyone. No one expected Ace to end up being stabbed by Akainu's magma hand like this. On Sphinx Island, the expression on Whitebeard's face was identical to his counterpart in the manga. After Akainu retracted his arm from Ace's back, Whitebeard's pirates couldn't believe what they saw. This was what happened in the manga, but it wasn't much different from the reactions of Whitebeard's pirates in reality. They all froze in their seats, shocked, without uttering a single word. When the commotion grew louder in the art store, Whitebeard's pirates returned to reality. Damn it! What did Akainu just do? Marco shouted. He killed him. He burned his insides with his magma. This. Not even my healing abilities can treat such wounds. He used hockey. And advanced hockey at that. This is a fatal blow, it's over. Jozu felt deep sadness after understanding the situation. Why didn't anyone intervene? This can't be. Vista felt his throat dry up. Whitebird's expression darkened so much that Stussy, who was beside him, almost choked from his aura alone despite the art store's restraints. We underestimated the extent of this man's madness. Whitebeard said, referring to Akainu. Sakazuki is your name, right? Just wait. Whitebeard vowed with bloodshot eyes. Oh Yaji. This man killed Ace, he cannot be allowed to live and grow, undoubtedly he will do the same in the future if given the chance. We must eliminate him now. Admiral Akainu should not exist in this world. I hate this bastard, I want to dance on his grave. Oyaji, the suffering of our defeated counterparts in the Summit War. I feel it's not just fiction. I have a feeling this is what will happen in the future. Why don't we let the Summit War come 20 years earlier? Whitebeard listened to his son's words with a calm and detached expression. No one knew what he was thinking. Chapter 746, The Death of Portgastide Ace. Part 2. Chapter's Events. It looks like you're still alive. After the first knockout punch, Akainu wasn't satisfied and wanted to strike again. Stop! Luffy screamed with all his might. No more! At that moment, Jimbei intervened with a fierce expression on his face. He used his fishman karate skills to block Akainu's fierce magma. Jimbei. Oh, man. I'm saved. I was about to. Mr. 3 was elated to have his life saved, but before he could celebrate more, he heard Marco's impatient voice. Undo my handcuffs already. Stop wasting my time, Jimbei. You're a former Shichibukai. You should know my strength. Akainu tried to make Jimbei back down to finish what he started without interference. Even if it costs me my body, I'll hold back as long as I can. My life has no value to begin with. Jimbei shouted at Akainu, refusing to back down even if it meant his death. In the art store at Mermaid Bay on Fishman Island, the atmosphere was charged with emotion after reading most of the scenes from Chapter 575. Jimbei and Fisher Tiger sat among a group of local manga fans, mostly from Fishman Street, each visibly affected by the chapter's events. Jimbei, with his balanced personality and hopeful outlook on humanity, seemed particularly moved by what he read. I didn't expect Ace to meet this fate. Why did you only block the second attack? Wouldn't it have been better to intervene before Akainu got to him? Jimbei appeared very frustrated, especially since his counterpart was the closest person to both Ace and Luffy, meaning he could have saved them if he had been more cautious. Hearing this, Fisher Tiger shook his head and sighed regretfully. You can't change this outcome even if you were the closest to them. You did enough when you blocked the second attack. You are the pride of our race. Around them, sad comments rose from other readers. One said sadly, Ace was so beloved, and I can't believe he's gone. It's so painful to see this end for Luffy's brother. I can't imagine how Luffy will handle this. Sigh. A beautiful mermaid with tearful eyes said, I was waiting for their escape, why did you stop? Everything was going well. Ah. I hate this admiral. I hate him too. No. I hate the whole marine. When will I see this bastard Akainu dead? The voices of angry, sad, and confused readers rose at this moment, most expressing their intense hatred for Akainu, who became the ultimate enemy in the story because of what he did to Ace. Not far from the commotion, King Neptune and his ministers were also discussing the chapter. King Neptune sighed and shook his head in regret. Who would have thought the son of the Pirate King would meet such a tragic fate? This admiral is extremely harsh, but he carried out the execution. From the start, the purpose of this war was to execute Ace. It seems like Garp will kill Akainu. At this moment, King Neptune felt intense excitement, wanting to see that happen for real. He wasn't the only one, all the readers held their breath at this moment after seeing the following scenes. Marine Ford. A sudden silence fell over the Marine stronghold at this moment. Although most of the Marine soldiers couldn't get immediate volumes of the Summit War, only the lucky ones got them. The gossip that couldn't be stopped in reality or the forum made most of them aware of what was happening in the volume. Admiral Akaino did it. He tore Ace's back, burned his insides, and pierced him completely with a deadly blow. Ace couldn't survive no matter what. Seeing this, Vice Admiral Garp lost his mind and wanted to kill Akainu. The Marine soldiers were in shock at what was happening. The Summit War saw an entirely unexpected turn of events, making the readers here in a state of disbelief. Inside the Fleet Admiral's office, a victorious smile appeared on Sakazuki's face. "I told you he would finish everything himself." Sakazuki pointed to his formidable counterpart in the manga before saying that. "He ended Whitebird's tyranny and executed Ace himself. I was confident he would do it and impose his justice on everyone. What do you think, Sengoku-san?" Everyone in the room looked between Sakazuki and Sengoku for a moment. Their expressions varied from person to person. "Well, let's see what you'll do with Garp first. I'll probably have to save your ass myself." "Humph." Hearing that, Sakazuki snorted in disdain and refocused on the events of the chapter after Jinbei's intervention. "Vice Admiral Garp. What are you?" The Vice Admiral's attention was drawn to Garp, who was walking toward Akainu with a killing intent overflowing. He looked like a demon crawling out of hell. "What are you doing, Garp?" At this moment, Sengoku pounced on Garp and knocked him to the ground. "Ha! Hold me back just like that, Sengoku. Otherwise, I'm gonna kill that Sakazuki," Garp said with indescribable hatred and sorrow. "You fool. It looks like I'll need to punish you for high treason." Akainu shouted, ready to crush Jinbei. But at that moment, Jinbei heard two voices. "Jinbei, get back. Vista. Marco." Both Marco and Vista attacked with all they had to deter Akainu. "Ku. Ah, how irritating. Hockey users, ha." Akainu felt angered after being hit by their painful combined attacks. "Don't you realize it's already too late for Fire Fist?" he sneered. "That one moment of carelessness," Vista said angrily. "How could this have happened?" Marco felt deep sorrow. At that moment, Ace fell onto Luffy's shoulder, who embraced him in his final moments, unaware yet. In the Sorbet Kingdom, inside the art store, things had also changed here just like in all the art stores scattered around the world. Calmness and silence prevailed here, as readers felt absolute shock at this time. Garp stepped back and sat in his chair, seeming to have lost some strength. Or maybe he no longer had the will to stand anymore. Is this what the future held for me? Complete, utter, real helplessness to protect family? A young boy. Did I fail to protect him? And just watched him die? Do you want to kill Sakazuki? Then why ask Sengoku to hold you back and stop you from doing so? Tears fell from Garp's eyes, wetting the part of the scene where Ace rested his head on Luffy's shoulder, speaking with warm tears falling from his eyes. Seeing this, Dragon sighed. He looked at Ace's dying scene in the manga and said, "This is the future, deep and impossible to predict, strange, and it can be whatever it wants to be, but who really knows? Old man, cry as much as you want." On the side, little Bonnie kept wiping her tears with both hands, but the more she read Ace's last words, the more she cried. Kuma's heart broke seeing this sight, and without realizing it, it was raining for him too. Crocodile ground his teeth and cursed, "Damn it, this shouldn't have happened." Mujiwara boy. Ivankov felt deep sorrow as he watched the scene too. It was also raining on Batarilla Island. Ace. Rouge ran her finger over Ace's face, who had just started speaking, maybe for the last time in his life. "Let's hear what he has to say, dear." Roger patted Rouge's shoulder warmly. The smile on his face carried a weight even Rouge hadn't felt. Chapter 747, His Last Words. Above the sky of Batarilla, clouds had been gathering for some time and it began to rain. It was as if the sky was reacting to the emotions of the couple in the wooden house amidst the trees. Sadness enveloped the place at that moment. The couple had completely stopped talking, their entire focus was on Ace and the manga. Every word he uttered resonated deeply in their hearts. Their emotions mostly oscillated between sadness and profound sorrow. Chapter's events. I'm sorry. Luffy, Ace began his final words by apologizing to Luffy. Holding him, Luffy touched the bloody hole on Ace's back, his hand filled with his brother's blood. Ace. Hurry, we've got to get you help, Luffy said in a trembling voice. Sorry, I couldn't let you save me. Ha! I'm sorry, Ace said softly, already feeling his life slipping away. What the hell are you talking about? Somebody help him. Please save Ace. Luffy began to scream, searching for someone to help. Doctor, hurry. Please treat him. Right. The nearest pirate looked for a pirate doctor, who rushed over with his equipment. It's too late. Ha! I can tell that my life is coming to an end. Ha! He burned up my insides, Z. I'm done for, so, Ace said. Ace, seeing the hole in his body, the doctor's face darkened and he instinctively stepped back. Listen, Luffy, Ace continued to speak as long as he could. What are you talking about? Ace, are you gonna die? Luffy couldn't even bear the thought of such a possibility. You promised. Ha! You promised you wouldn't die. Isn't that what you said, Ace? You. Promises can be broken, boy. Rob inhaled the smoke from his cigarette at that moment and exhaled calmly. He promised you he wouldn't die. Is that promise even believable in the first place? Especially when it comes from the mouth of a child, to another child. The rain and wind on Batarilla Island caused plant leaves in cornfields to fly, but it didn't affect Rob, not even extinguishing his cigarette. It's like I'm seeing this scene for the first time. Rob smiled sadly as he looked at the volume he had drawn himself. He had the same feeling when he first saw it in the manga on Earth. At that time he cried like the child he used to be. I wonder how you all are experiencing this moment, people of the seas world. When you realize that everyone can die. Rob exhaled more smoke from his cigarette and turned his gaze to the place he had left some time ago. The house of the couple, Rouge and Roger. To experience your son's death before he's even born, what a cruel irony. Well, it's interesting, though deeply saddening. I hope you understand the magnitude and consequences of what your counterpart did, Roger, for it's clear you don't really understand, especially the impact it had on your lineage. The rain continued to fall as if the sky was responding to the tears of the readers at that moment. In the domain of the gods at Marigoa, the scene was truly astonishing. Ah! What's happening? Is Ace dying? No. Isn't he a Logia fire user? How can he die like this? It was just one blow from Admiral Akainu. This blood, this hole, it looks like he's really going to die. Oh my god. What have you done, Admiral? I was so happy that Ace escaped just a moment ago. I went to the bathroom and came back to find Ace dying. What happened? Damn it! My tears won't stop. My snot is overflowing too. Ah! Damn you, evil Admiral! The celestial dragons were in chaos at this moment, their wailing and crying much to the disdain of the holy knights. Don't let these insects summon Admiral Sakazuki here. Saint Garling ordered in a deep voice. Understood, Your Majesty. The holy knight who received the order nodded, stood up, and left. Saint Garling shook his head and sighed, ignoring the stir of the celestial dragons. So, the execution was carried out perfectly in the end? Amazing, that Admiral deserves praise. Are these your final words? Ace, my grandson. In the kingdom of Sorbet, Garp was wiping away tears of sorrow as the scene deeply affected him. He had never expected or wanted to see one of his grandchildren die in such a gruesome manner. When Ace began to say his final words to Luffy, Garp felt a piercing pain in his heart. Yeah, just like with Sabo. If I didn't have an annoying little brother like you, I would never have thought to live. Saying that, Ace began to remember what people used to say about Roger's son. If Gold Roger had a kid? Kill him. Everybody would say that. I can't blame them, Ace said. How about we count how many people in the world hate Roger? And stab him with that number of needles? Burn him at the stake. Everyone in the world would love to see that. You know what we'd say. Serves you right. Jaya ha ha ha. I hope these are his last words. I'm so sorry that a piece of trash like me was born. Well, it's not like he exists. Ace. Did you cause trouble in the town again? Shut up. If I was strong enough, I would have killed them all. What? After recalling for a moment, Ace remembered something important. Oh yeah, when you see Dayton again. Tell her thanks. Now that I'm about to die. I even kinda miss her. The lively place in Amazon Lily, where the strongest and most formidable warrior women lived, turned into a scene resembling a nursery as everyone cried. The Amazon women were extremely emotional while reading Ace's final words, seeing parts of his past and how he suffered greatly in his childhood. Although he wasn't guilty of what his father did, he didn't even have a choice to be born. Store Goddess Dayton held her hand over her mouth, trying to suppress the tears that were about to spill, but it was futile. The more she read, the more the rain continued to fall. When she reached the words where Ace mentioned the name Dayton, she felt a tremor in her heart and then, boom, like an explosion shaking the corners of her mind, she had a strange and mysterious thought pounding in her head. The Dayton Ace is talking about, is me? As soon as this thought appeared in her mind, the tears continued to wet her cheeks, and her beautiful eyes turned red. The other store goddesses didn't notice her condition, as they were in a similar state. Chapter 748. Thank you for loving me. Chapter's events. I only have one regret. That I couldn't see you achieve your dream. Ha, Ace continued to bleed from his mouth as he said this with a smile. But I'm sure you'll do it. You're my brother after all. Ace paused for a moment. The pain of burning through his life was unimaginable, but in his brother's arms, he found a bit of final peace. Just like, we swore. I've lived with no regrets. No. You liar. Luffy exclaimed, unable to accept the reality. Ha! Ha, it's not a lie, Ace continued with difficulty. The thing I really wanted wasn't fame or anything. What I really wanted was to know that it was okay for me to be born. At this moment, Ace admitted the true desire buried deep in his heart. Ha! I can't talk for much longer. Luffy, what I'm about to tell you. You go tell everyone else. Luffy's eyes grew darker with every word he heard. Old man. Everyone. And Luffy. Tears of sadness fell from Whitebird's eyes as he remembered his first meeting with Ace. Get out here. I'm here for Whitebird's head. That's how Ace and Whitebird met for the first time. I'm a worthless man, with the blood of a demon flowing through me. Saying that, Ace began to cry. Thank you. For loving me. Rob raised his hand to catch a falling snowflake at that moment. Just a moment before, the stormy rain had strangely stopped, and these strands of snow began to fall instead. It was a strange scene, similar to when the Going Merry was burned. The snowflake quickly melted in Rob's hand, and the pure water drop fell on Ace's face, who died smiling in the manga. There's no doubt the world is sad now due to the grief of millions of people. Rob commented on the strange weather. Batarilla was known for its warm autumn climate. Snowfall in summer was no less strange. I'm sorry, you don't deserve this fate. What about a new life free of worries? You can have it as soon as you're born. I promise. Rob wiped a small tear from the corner of his eye and stood to leave. I didn't think this weather could cause allergies in my eyes, really strange. Even though no one saw him, he didn't stop pretending. This scene still causes his tears to fall even after living a second life with a different heart and a mind that understands everything. The essence of art still hits the most sensitive spot. Who said he couldn't cry again? In O'Hara, a gloomy mood fell over all readers, whether store goddesses, legendary hunters, or regular readers. Most readers' mouths trembled, and their eyes reddened more and more with every additional word Ace said. When he said that his true desire was just to know that it was okay for him to be born, Olivia really started to cry. Those words and the pure desire touched the depths of her heart. When someone's only wish is to feel that others are okay with their existence, what great suffering is necessary to make them have such a wish? Olivia couldn't control her emotions, her tears kept flowing. Thinking about the small scenes of those people Ace asked in his childhood about Roger and the possibility of him having a son and their reactions filled with hate and resentment, Olivia, as well as Belmira and the others, felt his desire was very reasonable. Even if it was just for a few others, he was still happy with that. Belmira added, tears in her eyes as well. He's really dead. Gloriosa was deeply moved. She tried hard to keep her tears in check, but Ace's last words swept away her last resistance. Thank you for loving me. These words from Ace before his death caused a flood of tears among Ace's fans. Whether they were old or young, men or women, each one of them cried with Ace in his final, touching moments. At the table where the hunters gathered, Daffy was annoyed by the gloomy atmosphere at that moment. Why all that drama if you were going to kill him in the end? Doflamingo felt as if he had been tricked by the author. He was deeply annoyed by all the drama accompanying Ace's death because, after all, he didn't expect him to die in the first place. On the side, Rosinante was drowning in tears, his blonde hair covering his eyes but not hiding the streak of tears that had been flowing since Ace began saying his last words. Why did Ace have to die? This is terrible, he said, crying. This is somewhat unexpected. It's foolish to fall into the trap of provocation with a few words. That damn Admiral. Enel felt saddened by this fate because, after all, Ace's story touched his heart too. He wasn't very old, still a teenager, and his childhood memories weren't far off. The feeling of not belonging and no one loving you or your presence, he had experienced those feelings and knew the extent of Ace's suffering. In this world, we live off others' suffering. Ace is just one example. Mihawk sighed sadly as he said that. The boy died smiling. Did he really live with no regrets? That's an obvious lie, isn't it? Since he was a child, he was shaped by the hate directed at him because he was the son of the demon. It's terrible, it's sad. I didn't expect my blind eyes to tear up again until today. Saying that, Isho wiped his tears. Luffy-san will collapse inevitably. Brook felt intense fear when Ace fell dead in the manga. Seeing how Luffy opened his mouth and screamed a cry of agony, Brook's soul trembled. Even if it was just a manga scene, it caused him real pain. This is truly tragic. Clover sighed with regret at the fall of one of the best characters in One Piece. Who expected this? A character with such potential and background left us already. What a pity. Vegapunk felt the loss of Ace as well. A world where pigs live with unparalleled satisfaction, referring to the celestial dragons, and kings die with unparalleled regret. What an ugly world. For the first time, Don Quixote Homing felt intense anger. The events of the One Piece manga were intertwined with reality, forming an unshakable image in Homing's mind, who, after becoming an archaeologist, became more aware of many things. Most archaeologists were more aware of the world's ugliness. In Batarella, the white snow continued to fall. At that moment, Roger and Rouge stepped out of the house to witness the scene. Rouge's body was trembling, and Ace's last words echoed in her mind. Thank you for loving me. She hadn't stopped crying for a while. Even Roger felt concerned that today's volume's events might shock her in some way. He lived a free life and died knowing that many didn't reject his existence, but rather his existence was their reason to live. I'm proud of Ace. He's a wonderful son, Roger said as he looked into the distance. Roger, Rouge stopped crying and called out. Roger looked deeply into her red eyes, swollen from all the tears, his heart feeling heavier with sadness. She took his hand and placed it on her belly. Do you feel him? Our son, please, in this life, don't be a demon tormented by others because of you. Chapter 749, Whitebird's Wrath and Sakazuki's Feeling of Threat. Ace's death caused great sorrow that swept through the world of seas. After all, Ace was not just an insignificant or transient character. Even if he wasn't Luffy's brother, he was still a beloved character, especially to Whitebeard's pirates, who were currently gathered on Sphinx Island. Edward Newgate, with his long blonde hair, gazed at the scene of Ace's death in the manga with very complex emotions. Is death really the end? Ace passed on his will to Luffy before he died. He didn't realize it until one tear fell. Just like his sons, who were crying like kids here and there. Seeing Ace's Vivre card completely burn and disappear, Whitebeard's heart broke. Even as a mere reader, he felt it. What if he were in his counterpart's place? How would he feel? No doubt he will go berserk in a moment. Someone will have to pay the price. In the following scenes, some moments from Ace and Luffy's childhood appeared in Luffy's memories, as if his spirit had been shattered. It was about Ace's promise that he would not die and leave behind a weakling and little brother like Luffy. Unfortunately, life and death are not things we can control with promises and words. Whitebeard's tears intensified at this moment. It was no longer just one tear. Seeing this scene, Stussy, who was also crying, felt her heart break. Whitebeard's pirates felt as if something was stuck in their throats. They couldn't get past the scene of Ace falling dead while Luffy began to scream with a broken spirit. What will crying do now, old man? Whitebeard looked at the final scene in the chapter where Garp's tears were falling endlessly. If it's a boy. Ace. His name is Gold Ace. This small scene from Garp's memories, where Portgas de Rouge announced Ace's full and true name, struck deeply. Nothing. Tears won't bring back anything. Whitebeard stopped crying and turned to the next chapter. He wanted to see Akainu's head crushed badly. Whitebeard's pirates felt their blood run cold at this moment. They had one thought in their minds. Their father was angrier than ever before. If Akainu didn't die in the manga, he might die in reality. It would be better for him to die in the next chapter and accompany Ace in the afterlife. The next chapter was titled Rage Without Words, as expected. Chapter's events. You're next, Strawhat. Akainu turned into a stream of hot magma and lunged at Luffy, who was already unconscious. I won't let you take his life. Blue flames intercepted Akainu's magma in a breathtaking scene. Squad leader Marco. Take Ace's brother and go, Jimbei, exclaimed Marco. Got it. Jimbei nodded and carried the unconscious Luffy. His life is Ace's living will. We'll protect him in Ace's place. If we let him die, it'll be a disgrace to the Whitebeard pirates. You woo. Marco's words spurred the rest of Whitebeard's pirates, who charged at Akainu while Jimbei continued to run away with Luffy. Luffy, get a grip. I said those two brothers won't escape. Akainu seemed determined not to let any of them get away. Suddenly, he felt a crushing pressure behind him. Akainu. Look out. Whitebeard's gaze fell on Ace's corpse for a brief moment, but it was enough to ignite an unimaginable rage in his heart. Whitebeard gathered the power of the destructive quake and haki in his fist and, without warning, smashed Akainu's head into the ground. Go! Akainu felt a severe concussion as his head was pressed with enormous force. The boss is mad. Everyone, get away. Whitebeard's pirates quickly retreated at this moment. But Akainu attacked the moment he freed himself slightly from the pressure. Mago. With his deadly magma fist, he almost obliterated half of Whitebeard's face. Heis. Boss. Seeing this, the pirates were terrified. But Whitebeard didn't react as if he weren't made of flesh and blood. Without the slightest hesitation, he shattered Akainu's ribs with a quake punch. Akainu vomited blood from the severe injury, being the center of a destructive earthquake that completely wrecked Marineford's fortress. It's coming down. The Marine HQ building is collapsing. Marineford. Not long ago, Sakazuki was pleased and energized by Ace's death at the hands of his manga counterpart. This was exactly what he predicted and told his colleagues would happen. Ace's execution would only be achieved by his hand. And indeed, it happened as he foresaw, and he even managed to outshine his boss, known as Odachi in the Global Forum, a person with many theories that came true, Fleet Admiral Sengoku. After all, Sengoku did not anticipate Ace's death, just like no one else did except Sakazuki. This was a big shock to Sengoku himself. But after reading the events of the next chapter, Sakazuki's expression turned grim as he saw how Whitebird's rage led to the destruction of Marineford. This. Even after I destroyed half of his face, he still has this power? Impossible. Seeing Marineford's building collapse, Sakazuki felt intense anger. What a loss. Sengoku and the others in the hall looked at Sakazuki. Do you still consider this a loss? Your counterpart killed Ace, the person this war revolves around saving. Marineford can be rebuilt, but Ace cannot be revived. Whitebeard is so furious, your counterpart might die with him. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, said Sengoku calmly. He also felt deep sorrow for Garp and the manga, but what could he do? Absolutely nothing. Impossible. Sakazuki felt threatened. If his counterpart died, it would mean the end for him, and he wouldn't see more of his future achievements in this great manga again. That would be extremely bad, and a dangerous omen. Look, he has split the plaza in half. On one side are his remaining sons, and he stands on the side where the Marines are, meaning he has decided to die with you. Arara Sakazuki-san, your counterpart has become the main villain of the story because of this, so don't worry, you won't die by Whitebeard's hand but by Luffy's, said Kuzan expressionlessly. Scary, very scary, Sakazuki. I didn't expect your counterpart to be this tyrannical, added Borsellino cheerfully. Sakazuki. Your counterpart killed a good character. Ace did not deserve to die, at least not in this way. He's not the type of pirate who deserves to die. Didn't you see this in the manga? Zephyr felt deeply saddened, to the point where he wanted to reprimand Sakazuki. Did you hit your head, teacher? Ace is Roger's son, his blood carries the sins of the Pirate King. He didn't do much in his youth, but who guarantees he wouldn't do crazy things when he grew up like his father? Replied Sakazuki sarcastically. That's not a justification for the brutal killing your counterpart did. Stop it, both of you, the execution was decided beforehand and is now complete. Admiral Akainu did nothing wrong. Sengoku halted the argument. Chapter 750, Arrival of the Blackbeard Pirates. Chapter's events. Hey. What? What's that? There's something next to headquarters. Suddenly, the attention of the Marine soldiers was drawn to a huge figure hiding behind the ruins of the Marineford building. Ah! They spotted me. The giant said mockingly. He's... It can't be. Someone seemed to recognize him. That's not all. Who's that over by the execution platform? A Marine soldier pointed to a group of people who had suddenly appeared on the platform's surface. Oh. They finally noticed. How did you get here? Sengoku was shocked by the appearance of this person and his companions and then angered when he remembered what the person had done. Fu. This is awesome. You really did something amazing. It was unclear whether Doflamingo was praising the person or mocking him. Whitebeard's eyes darkened upon seeing the arrival of the traitorous son. The Blackbeard Pirates. On the platform, the pirates that Blackbeard had freed from level 6 of Impel Down gathered with the rest of his original crew. Say ha 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 ha. Blackbeard's laugh was more sinister than ever. It's been too long. It's good to see you at death's door, old man. Blackbeard said arrogantly, revealing his true face. Teach. Whitebeard growled with hatred. Impel Down. In real time, Impel Down was very quiet. Having been tightly reorganized for a month, it had regained its normal state. Although the number of prisoners flowing in had become less and less than ever before, it still operated efficiently as usual, especially after correcting the errors revealed in the manga like secret passages and hidden floors. Meanwhile, Marshal D. Teach, the current warden of the prison, adjusted his sitting position when he read this chapter. Say ha ha ha. Finally here. After all this waiting, the real fun begins. I didn't expect Ace's death. The old man reaching death's door was the only expected thing. But, what a welcome event, Zehaha. It will make Whitebeard even angrier and more prone to mistakes. Oh. What a magnificent presence, we really do look great. Shiryu adjusted his cigar while saying this with an excited smile. Zihahaha. Can you predict what will happen next, Shiryu? Teach laughed and asked Shiryu. Your grand plan is about to succeed, isn't it? Shiryu replied with a wicked smile. Zihahaha. I'm excited to see every detail of it. I don't want to miss a single shot. Aren't you afraid that this will drive Whitebeard mad and make him come after you now? Zihahaha. What do you think about pushing the grand plan forward and starting it now? Teach suggested. Are you kidding me? We are still too weak at the moment, while Whitebeard is at his peak. One blow from him is enough to obliterate us all. It's better to find a suitable place to hide. Shiryu said mockingly. Isn't Impel Down the best place to hide and train after all? Well, actually, we might also need to escape from here because my biggest secret is about to be revealed. Young Whitebeard will be the least of our worries at that time. The scenes in the next chapter were flashing before Teeth's eyes at a rapid pace, but his face was becoming stern and sweaty with each additional scene. His biggest secret, or at least what he could do with it, would soon be revealed at the end of this arc for sure. This was the final moment in his plan that had started since he joined the Whitebeard Pirates back then. When he is mercilessly revealed by Rob, he will be relentlessly hunted by the world government led by the mysterious emo who gave him the dark fruit. Not only that, but even the Hunter organization will not hesitate to hunt him down. If Rob comes searching for him, well, it will be the end for him. Shiryu. Are they ready? Teach looked at Shiryu and asked seriously this time. After reading the last chapters of the manga, they are fully prepared. San Juan Wolf, Abalo Pizarro, Vasco Shot, and Katarina Devon too, all agreed to join. Alright, get ready, we will be leaving soon. I don't want to stay here and wait for the 5 elders to catch me. On level 4 of Impel Down, Magellan was reading the latest chapters with intense frustration. That evil Blackbeard, how the hell do they give him the chance to lead Impel Down? Oh, I forgot. The world government loves dealing with villains because it's evil too. Magellan said sarcastically. Ah. What are you saying, Honorable Guardian? This is a desecration of your superiors. You better step down and let me become the Guardian instead. I mean, you better take back those words before someone hears you. Magellan gave a cold stare to Hannibal, making the latter freeze. Ah. I'm sorry. I was just joking. Back to Sphinx Island where the Whitebeard pirates are gathered. What is he planning to do? Teach. Whitebeard's eyes were still red from being affected by Ace's death, but the moment he saw the biggest traitor among his sons who was the cause of everything that happened, an endless anger ignited in his heart. Just like what happened with his counterpart in the manga who was already at death's door. Becoming a Shichibukai for this moment and being able to get here means it's for a purpose. What does he want to do? Does he wish to gain the honor of killing Whitebeard and take his place among the 4 emperors? At that moment these words came with the footsteps of a person. The Whitebeard pirates turned to see the person who said that, only to be surprised by everyone. Rob? I didn't expect you to come, my friend. Whitebeard wiped away his tears paths and regained his smile at this moment. Rob also smiled and extended his hand to shake this kind friend's hand. Whitebeard happily accepted his handshake, but before removing his hand he said, "What do you mean by him aspiring to kill my counterpart and become the new emperor instead of me? Isn't it a huge risk to come to a place where Garp and Sengoku and 3 admirals and an emperor are at death's door for small gains like the honor of killing a man already at death's door? Do you consider the act of killing you a small gain, Whitebeard?" Rob asked with a smile. Ah. Of course not. That's a great feat. Well, maybe you're right. Whitebeard felt like he insulted himself. But maybe you're right. Let's read the manga together and discover Blackbeard's true purpose for taking all these risks to appear here. Rob said with a smile, catching the attention of all Whitebeard's sons. Everyone in the world now wants to know the true purpose of the Blackbeard pirates. It might be deeper than you all think. Well, you being the author would know better than all of us, said Whitebeard. That wraps up this part of What If Becoming a Mangaka in One Piece World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Quick reminder. The series What If Fusion Deck User in a different Yu-Gi-Oh! GX will be going on hold soon, since we're nearly at the end of the story. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these 3 fanfics. What if creating the strongest Strawhat crew by reading manga? What if Reincarnated in Bleach as Toshiro Hitsugaya? What if Reincarnated in Marvel as a gamer? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.